Something is happening to him right now that he cannot explain to anyone around him. He is sitting across from someone kind, someone available, someone who looks at him the way most people only dream of being looked at. And he feels nothing. Not irritation, not disinterest, nothing. A flat, hollow kind of quiet where feeling should be. He has tried to name it. He told himself he just needs more time. He told himself this person is not quite right for him. He found reasons. He moved on. He tried again. And again that same emptiness showed up, right on schedule, like it was waiting for him. This is not about you being irreplaceable in some romantic fairy tale sense. This is not about fate making him miserable as a punishment. What is happening to him right now is something much more specific, much more psychological, and once you understand it, the connection you share becomes something entirely different in your hands. If you are in separation right now, watching him try to move forward while you do the same, leave a like and subscribe so you do not miss what comes next. Drop "He cannot replace this" in the comments, because what I am about to walk you through is the part of this journey that almost nobody explains. You feel it too, by the way. The same thing, you have probably already noticed it. You meet someone perfectly fine and something about the interaction feels like eating food with no salt. Technically sustaining, completely unsatisfying. You go home and you cannot figure out why you feel lonelier than before. That is not a flaw in you. That is not you being too attached to him or too deep in your feelings. That is something biological, psychological, and deeply real happening inside you both. And it is connected to something specific about this connection that most twin flame content never actually names. There is a psychological concept called object constancy. It was first described in the context of child development, watching how young children learn to hold the image of someone they love even when that person is not in the room. A baby who has not yet developed object constancy will cry when the mother leaves. Not because the baby is dramatic, but because the baby genuinely cannot hold the mother in mind. She disappears from sight and, for that infant nervous system, she ceases to exist. Most adults develop object constancy somewhere in early childhood. They learn that the people they love continue to exist even when absent, that the relationship continues to be real even during conflict, that love does not evaporate the moment someone walks out of the room. But twin flame connections do something extraordinary to object constancy. They do not just activate it, they rewrite it. When you're in a twin flame connection, the person becomes embedded in your internal world at a level that is different from any ordinary attachment. This is not metaphor, this is not spiritual poetry. The neuroscience behind it is real. What gets formed between two people in this kind of connection is what researchers call an internal working model. A living representation of the other person that the nervous system carries everywhere. Most relationships build a version of this. What makes the twin flame connection different is the depth at which the representation forms. It bypasses the usual filters, it goes somewhere more foundational. And once it is there, everything else gets measured against it, not consciously, not deliberately, but automatically. This is why he sits across from someone wonderful and feels nothing. He is not comparing her to you in the way we usually mean comparison, running through a checklist of qualities. He is running that new person through a nervous system that has been calibrated to you. And the calibration is so deep that nothing else registers as real. Your reading is already being pulled. Right now, while you are watching this video and trying to understand what is happening between you and your twin, there is a reading that has your name on it. Literally. A personal audio reading built from your birth chart, from the specific cosmic blueprint you were born with, that shows exactly where you are in this journey, what is being orchestrated between you right now, and what your soul contract with this person actually means. This is not a general twin flame reading. It is specific to you, your chart, your connection, your current phase. The reading covers the energy between you and your twin right now. The karmic patterns that are keeping you at this exact stage, what divine timing looks like for your specific connection, and a direct message about your path forward. You will receive a personal audio reading delivered straight to your inbox. plus a detailed written report you can return to again and again. All you need to provide is your birth information at checkout. Order yours, and within 48 hours, you will have something in your hands that finally makes sense of what you have been living through. The link is in the description. If this video is already speaking your experience back to you, the reading will go even deeper, because it is made entirely for you. Let us go deeper into what he is actually experiencing, because understanding this changes how you hold yourself in this separation. When he walked away, or when the distance grew, or when the connection went quiet, he probably told himself a version of the same story, that he needed space, that it was too much, that he was better off finding something simpler, something easier, someone who did not make him feel so much. And for a while, that story held. He breathed a little easier. The intensity subsided. He started talking to someone new, or went back to someone familiar, or simply buried himself in work and told himself the chapter was closed. But then a moment came. Maybe it was 3 weeks in. Maybe it was 3 months. A quiet Tuesday. A song that did not even remind him of you specifically, just of something, a feeling, a quality of aliveness that he could not locate anywhere in his current life. And underneath that moment was a recognition he did not want to have. The new person does not reach him the way you do. Not because she is less, not because there is something wrong with her, but because the version of himself that is most awake, most alive, most genuinely present, that version was formed in contact with you. And without that contact, it goes dormant. This is the part nobody tells him. He thinks what he is missing is you specifically, your face, your voice, your particular way of doing things. And yes, he misses those, but what he is actually missing is himself. The version of himself that only showed up inside the container of this connection. Object constancy research tells us that when we form a deep internal representation of another person, we are also, simultaneously, forming a representation of ourselves in relation to them. The two are built together. They cannot be separated. So when he loses you, he does not just lose you. He loses the self that came into being with you. No one else can give him that back. Not because of anything mystical, but because that version of himself was activated specifically in the context of this connection. It is neurologically, psychologically, and spiritually intertwined with you. This is why the emptiness follows him. He is not empty because he misses you. He is empty because he is living without a version of himself that felt most real. You already know some version of this in your own experience. But I want to speak to where you are right now, this week, in the specific texture of what separation feels like from the inside. There is a particular kind of loneliness that this journey produces that is different from ordinary loneliness. Ordinary loneliness has a kind of simple hunger to it. You want company. You want warmth. You want someone to talk to. It is a surface ache. What you are carrying is different. You can be surrounded by people who love you and still feel completely alone. Not because they are doing anything wrong, not because you are ungrateful, but because the specific frequency of being truly seen, of being met at the depth that this connection reaches, that frequency is not available anywhere else you go. And here's the uncomfortable part you may not have admitted out loud yet. Some part of you has already tried. You leaned towards someone who seemed interesting. You let yourself be taken to dinner. You had a conversation that started well, and somewhere in the middle of it, you felt yourself doing a thing you did not want to do. Performing, going through motions that should feel natural but feel like theater. Because your nervous system has object constancy for him. You carry him inside you as a living presence. And that living internal presence has become the standard your nervous system uses to measure genuine contact. Everything else registers as echo, as approximation, as something that almost reaches you but does not quite arrive. This is not pathology. This is not you being broken or stuck. This is your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do after forming a bond of this depth. The problem is that no one told you what this bond actually was before you formed it. You did not know you were signing up for something this foundational. Neither did he. Here is where this understanding becomes something you can actually use. Most women in this journey try to heal the longing by addressing the longing directly. They do the meditations. They try to clear the attachment. They attempt to imagine a life that feels complete without him. And it does not work the way they expect it to, because they are treating a symptom instead of the source. The source is not your attachment to him. The source is the self that came alive in that connection. The version of you that was most present, most feeling, most genuinely located in her own body. That version emerged through the mirror of him. And what your nervous system is actually grieving is access to her. This is the twin flame journey reframe that changes everything. You are not trying to get him back. You are trying to recover her, the self that his presence catalyzed. And once you understand that, the work shifts. Because that self does not require his physical presence to stay awake. She requires the conditions that called her forward, the depth, the honesty, the willingness to feel completely, the refusal to perform. When you create those conditions inside your own life, something begins to happen that the separation cannot touch. The internal object, the you that lives inside you, becomes more real than the representation of him that has been living there. And as she becomes more solid, more present, more undeniably real, the desperate quality of the connection shifts. You stop needing him to return so you can feel whole. Not because you have detached or given up or spiritually bypassed your way into pretending it does not matter, but because the self he called forward is now being sustained from within. This is what late separation is actually asking you to build, not a life without him. Not a healed, closed-down version of yourself who no longer misses him. A self so genuinely present that the connection with him becomes something you can hold with open hands instead of desperate ones. That shift in you is also, and this part is not coincidence, exactly what creates movement on his side. Right now, the thing holding him in place is not his fear of you. It is not even his avoidance. It is the fact that his nervous system is used to a version of the dynamic where you are reaching toward him and he is the one with the power to close the distance. That is the pattern his nervous system expects. That is what makes his current posture feel safe. When you stop being reachable in that way, not because you are punishing him or playing games, but because you have genuinely become absorbed in the work of recovering yourself, something in his internal model destabilizes. The version of you he carries inside him stops matching what he is perceiving from the outside. And that mismatch creates a pressure in him that no amount of new relationships can resolve. Object constancy works both ways. He carries you inside him too. And the you he carries is awakening at a different rate than the you he last saw. When those two versions of you stop matching, his nervous system cannot settle. The gap between who you are becoming and who he remembers creates a gravitational pull that is difficult to articulate but impossible to ignore. You have probably felt a version of this already, a moment when something shifted in you, a real internal shift, not a performed one, and within days or weeks he reached out, not because he knew consciously what had changed, but because the representation of you he carries registered something different. And his system moved toward it without being able to explain why. This is not magic. This is not the law of attraction spoken as a motivational mantra. This is how deep attachment systems actually work. The internal object is alive, it responds, it updates. And what you do inside yourself is not happening in isolation from him. You need a way to track that, not emotionally, not intuitively in the vague sense of journaling when you feel called to. An actual structured system that shows you, month by month, what is moving and what is not. Because the twin flame journey without documentation is a journey where you can do enormous amounts of real work and have no record of it. No evidence, no way to see that something has actually changed. The Twin Flame Journey Tracker and Progress Workbook was built exactly for this. 39 pages designed around the reality of this journey. An 8-stage tracker that shows you exactly where you are and lets you track movement month by month. A synchronicity log so those 11:11 moments and sudden rushes of knowing actually get recorded somewhere. Daily self-love check-ins to keep you the center of your own story, not him. Weekly reflections that surface the patterns you would otherwise miss. Monthly reviews that show you in black and white what has shifted. Most women in this journey do not realize how much they are actually growing because they have no system for seeing it. They measure progress by whether he has come back. That is the wrong measurement. Progress is internal. And the workbook gives you a way to see it. The link is in the description. 39 pages, structured around the twin flame stages specifically. If you are doing the work, you deserve a way to see it. Back to what is actually happening between you right now. The Scorpio moon this week is doing something specific to the emotional landscape of this connection. Scorpio rules depth, hidden truth, the things that live below the surface of what either of you is willing to say. And a waxing Scorpio moon is building pressure. It is not a quiet, reflective energy. It is an excavating energy. Things that have been stored below the surface begin to rise. For him, this week, that may look like an unexpected flood of memory, not the careful managed recollection he usually allows himself. The raw version, the unfiltered version, the moment he is not in control of when it arrives. For you, this may look like an increased sensitivity to his energy, a heightened awareness of the connection, the kind of week where you wake up knowing he was in your consciousness overnight without being able to explain how you know. That is not imagination. That is the object constancy between you responding to the same cosmic pressure on both sides. The things neither of you has said are closer to the surface this week than they have been in months. Not because the situation has changed, because the sky is excavating. Let that be information, not a reason to reach out, not a reason to hold back, just information about what is alive in the field between you right now. The healing that is being asked of both of you is not about finding the right words or making the right move. It is about becoming real enough to yourself that the internal version of you he carries has something genuinely alive to respond to. That is the work. That is the whole work. And you are already in it. The fact that you are here watching this, sitting with the discomfort of a separation that should have faded by now but has not, that staying is not weakness. That is you refusing to accept a version of yourself that is smaller than what this connection called forward. He is doing his version of the same thing, even if it does not look like it from where you are standing. Even in his attempts to replace you, even in the emptiness that keeps showing up in his current life, he is being moved towards something he does not yet have language for, toward the version of himself that only came alive with you, toward the depth of contact that nothing else has been able to replicate. That version of him is not gone. It is waiting, not for a dramatic gesture, not for a perfect alignment of circumstances, for you to be so genuinely present in your own becoming that the gap between who you are and who he remembers becomes impossible to ignore. That is what you are building. Keep building it. And if you want support on that, not just inspiration, but an actual structured path, the workbook is in the description. The reading is in the description. Both exist because you deserve more than another video that moves you and leaves you without a next step. You deserve something in your hands that is specifically yours. You have been in this long enough to know the difference between content that makes you feel better for an hour and something that actually changes how you understand yourself. This is the latter. Take it with you. The connection is real. The work is real. And so are you.